Welcome to Cozy Coven Chats with Jenny C. Bell, where we explore the journey of the witch. Hey witches, welcome to another Cozy Coven Chat. I'm your host, Jenny C. Bell, and this is for the week of September 14th. What a week last week was. Let's chat about that a little bit. Let's talk about the eclipse season, or what I like to refer to as like the eclipse portal, just because it sounds like more intense because it is more intense. And so, on Sunday, the portal officially opened, even though a lot of us were feeling it prior to that. So last Sunday, right, the 7th. And this week, we've all just been in the energy. And I asked in our coven how people were feeling, and the majority of people were feeling tired, drained, needing more sleep, kind of like slowed down, things like that. Some people were feeling energized and like a good release, and they felt more like themselves than they did prior to the eclipse. Talked to quite a few people who menstruate, and their menstruation has been off. A lot of them are having it, either their cycle is longer or coming sooner, right? But, we are very much affected by the moon and the planets, even in our bodies. So if you've been feeling any of these things, please know you're not alone. Eclipse energy, it happens twice a year. And depending on where it falls in your chart or where you are in your life, it can just be so intense. And it's been intense for everybody I know. And if you're like, I'm not really feeling it, well, good. That's okay. There's no wrong way to witch, okay? So totally fine. So we're still in that energy. We're technically entering like the waning half moon phase today on the 14th. And so we're going to continue to wane until the new moon, which is the other eclipse, which we'll talk about a little bit as well. But right now we're in the energy of waning moon. We're in the energy of eclipse. And the next eclipse that is on the 21st, and I'll talk about it because the next podcast comes out on the 21st, so you might want to prepare a little bit, is in Virgo. It's a solar eclipse near the South Node. And according to Chani, the key themes are releasing perfectionist tendencies and the desire to get life right, and that's because it's in Virgo. But what I always think about with these seasons, even regardless of where they are in the planets, I always think the first eclipse opens the door, right? It's the portal. It opens the portal, and I find it's usually more intense because things start to arise. It opens the door, and you maybe don't know what your eclipse story is yet, because everybody has an eclipse story. And so you're feeling things are rising to their surface, and it can be draining, it can be confusing, it can be frustrating. There could be a lot of feelings. But then by the time the second eclipse comes around, you usually have an understanding as to what your story is. And what do I mean by that? Ask yourself what's been coming up for you. And we're going to talk more about this in the journal questions, but reflect. Since around, I would say like a few days before the 7th, right? Probably since September has started. That would be safe. What are some things that have come up for you in dreams, in thoughts and feelings and actions, in your cards? And that's probably your story. And my story has been interesting. My story has been about daily routine. And I know it's like not super interesting, but I'm fine with that. I don't need it to be super interesting. I've already gone through eclipses in my sun, which is Taurus. But it's been about routine. Like, what fills my cup? What is aligned? What isn't aligned? I get to this point in the year often around the equinox, which we're approaching as well. And I start to see what is in balance and what isn't. And so that's a lot of what's been coming up. I am changing my daily affirmations right now, even though I wrote them and have been saying them all year. They just don't feel aligned anymore. I am changing up my morning routine, changing up my evening routine. I'm spending a lot less time on social media, which has been so good for my mental health. And yeah, just really looking at that, looking at my daily walks. I'm looking at just daily activities. When I do things, I've been trying like different things out, like when I do a particular activity, let's change the time. Okay, no, I don't like that. Let's go back to the other one. Just that kind of thing. Really simple stuff, but it is still Virgo season, and Virgo invites us to declutter, clean, clear, right? Get organized, all of those things. And that's how I have been leaning into eclipse season. I feel the need to reorganize my day to day as opposed to like my entire life or a closet, right? It's like I want to reorganize my day and how I spend my day and my energy and when I write versus when I read and all of those things. So that's been my story. It's not super fantastical or interesting. I have had another shadow rise that I don't really want to chat about. It's nothing crazy, but it's still something I'm working on healing. Once I get through it, I think I could share about it then. But yes, that's my story for right now. And so we're in that. We are also in Virgo energy still, as I mentioned. This is pretty much the last full week of the Virgo energy. And like, we've talked about, it's that organization, it's earth sign, it's all of that. But because the eclipse is here, it's not as grounded as it normally feels. So if you haven't been making an effort to get grounded every day, you really should. When the moon starts to kind of take things over, we begin to feel not as grounded. So simple things you can do is get outside. My husband and I both work from home on computers. I write and he is working on his computer all day, and we take breaks just to go put our feet on the clover and look at the mountains. And it's important. Taking walks is very grounding. If you can't really get outside, then sometimes just like sitting on the floor or laying on the floor of your house is very grounding. Petting animals is grounding. Eating earthy foods and really being present with your food is grounding. There's, a nice, even though it's water, a nice salt bath can be really grounding. So yeah, make an effort if you're not already doing so this week to get grounded. And now we're going to pull our tarot of the week. So we had Justice last week. So I'm curious, I wonder how Justice played out in your life. I always think of Justice as being a balancing card, So that's a theme, I think. Oh, and speaking of balancing, we got Temperance. So that's such a Virgo card, pretty interesting. Okay, so Temperance is technically associated with Sagittarius, but Virgo's the scales, and the card is often depicted with someone, usually a winged someone, pouring water back and forth in a calm manner and not dropping any, and very balanced. And it's technically the fire. It's connected with fire, even though there's lots of water in the picture, which is kind of interesting. And it always has that kind of whenever this card comes in, I'm like, okay, what needs balancing? I've already been asking that, and I probably think you have been too, because we're getting close to the equinox. We have Virgo season, we have this eclipse. So Temperance is here to underline that question and can put an exclamation point at the end, right? What needs balancing? What isn't balanced? And then I always think of Temperance too. I always think of it as a sister card to Justice. I think of Justice as more of a masculine card and Temperance more of a feminine card, but they're the same energy of trying to balance the scales and making sure that everything is as it should be. And so with Temperance, we have more of this feminine kind of, not forcing the issue, not okay, I need to get balanced and being aggressive about it. It's more okay, what's not serving me? What is not in balance? And, how can I do that? How can I get grounded? And it's interesting too, because of the water, there's so much water in the card, but it's connected with fire. According to some anyway, the water to me is what I just talked about, the salt bath. The nice shower with maybe some essential oils in the shower stall. I feel that's very cleansing right now because of the eclipse, and that's all associated with the moon and water. I don't know, just kind of it underlines that. Like before we get into the equinox and before we get into Libra season, what is standing in your way of being balanced, of having a decent temperament, of feeling like you can be around other people, right? I've been very hermited this week. My card actually of the week for my own self was hermit. And so there you go. But yeah, so very similar, I think, in my opinion, to justice. They obviously mean different things, but the vibe of the card is so similar. So seems like a similar energy for this week. It's the rebalancing and balancing of with water instead of scales, right? So yeah, definitely I'll remind you at the end of the journal questions, but we'll be getting back to them and they'll all be connected with that. I wanted to talk just a moment about apples for a second. So we have, as a family, we would go apple picking every year. And now we have an apple tree in our yard, and we have plenty of apple trees around town as well. And I don't know, you probably know this, but maybe you don't. If you cut an apple in half, not lengthwise, but like if you sit the apple, down and the stem's on top, and you cut it in half so that you have the stem on one side and the little kind of flower-looking part at the other side. I don't know how else to describe it, horizontally, I guess. If you cut it like that, the seeds make a star. And so they are like a living, perfect pentacle, because a pentacle is a 5-pointed star with a circle around it. That's what makes it a pentacle, not a pentagram. And it's a symbol of protection and for witches. And I love it. And so one of my favorite offerings, if you work with a deity, and if you don't work with a deity, you can just put them on your altar, is to cut apples in half and put them on my altar. And they shrivel and dry, and I think they look even cooler when that happens. And I just do that throughout, basically until I buy mini pumpkins and put them on the altar. But they are my go-to altar decoration. You can also slice them and dry them in the oven, but I really like how they just will dry out on the altar. If they have a problem with ants or a greedy dog or something, then don't do that. But I just think they're just the perfect like witch fruit because they are a pentacle. And I also love that, other people in other religions associate them with evil, which is silly. And so I kind of feels rebellious, I think, sometimes to like put the apple on the altar. It's like, yeah, see? But anyway, I just wanted to share that a little bit with you. So yeah, if you have apples are usually inexpensive this time of year, you're looking for something fun to put on your altar, something festive, that's definitely something. And like I said, I like to keep it pretty much until the mini pumpkins come out. But sometimes I continue. I also like to put pomegranate seeds. That's great, especially if you work with like Persephone. But I can't wait. I haven't seen them in the store yet. They're like one of my favorite fruits. So I'm like anxiously like checking the store. When are the pomegranates here? But I like to put a few seeds on the altar, and they also dry out, and they're so beautiful. There's nothing really like that color that we eat besides beets, which I'm not a fan of. So yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. The other thing I wanted to talk about is okay, let me start. Let me restart here. I'm not going to edit that out, but we're just restarting. So the last eclipse was in Pisces, which we've talked about on here as dreams and psychicism and things like that. And a lot of people have been having very interesting dreams or having very interesting signs come to them. And recently, someone in our coven reached out to me and was like, I had this dream, and then I kind of had like this feeling and this vision. Is it nothing? Like, basically, am I crazy? And here's the thing is, we don't want to go overboard where like every little thing's a sign, okay? But being a witch is reading the signs. Like, that's who you are. We're liminal. We are looking through the veil, even when the veil is not at its thinnest. We are more aware, more conscious, more open. We work on opening our clair senses and becoming more psychic, and listening to our intuition. And all of that is connected to reading the signs around you. So should you, like if you remember a dream, should you look into the meaning? Why not? If you keep seeing the same number repeated, should you look into that meaning? Yes. If you find a feather, That's symbolic, right? If you see a bird you don't normally see, that means something. If you keep seeing the same animal enter your yard, right? Like you keep seeing bunnies come into your yard when you've never noticed them before. These are important signs because the invisible world is real. And as witches, we know that. And the invisible world communicates with us through signs and symbols. You know, it's funny to me because not that long ago, I kept finding cards. Now, I read cards every day, right? But I went to a little free library and there was literally only 3 oracle cards. Or 4. There's 4 oracle cards there. And they were just like, they had fallen. And I looked around, I couldn't find the deck. And so I was like, I'm going to take them home. I did a reading in our coven. But obviously that was significant. Those were very clear signs. But then that same week, I went for a walk and I found a tarot card. Like just by itself, facing up, facing me. Not by anybody's house, not by anybody's car. Those are really strong signs. Okay, you have a repetitive sign, that's a really important message. So it's like you dream of a crow, then you're hearing a crow caw while you're meditating, and then you see a crow fly by you, and then you're on social media and a crow comes up. Like, crow's coming in with a message, right? Does that mean crow is an animal guide? Maybe, but it could just mean that crow's the messenger of something or someone for you. So it's really important to honor yourself by reading the signs and allowing your intuition to decide what that means. And if you're unsure, that's when, you talk to a friend or we bring it into our coven. Hey, I had this dream. What do you think it means? It's what we do, right? You think about like the witches, in an ideal world, you would be like your local witch and people would come to you with these questions. I saw this sign and I had this dream and this and that. Like, what does it mean? Because they would think because you're in that liminality, right? You admit that there's more than this mundane 3D world, right? There's an invisible world. So I think now, especially during eclipse season, if you haven't figured out what your story is or what your theme is, read the signs. There's communication happening, someone in our coven was talking about, we were doing a live reading, and she was like, it's raining really hard right now. And we kept getting a lot of like water imagery and femininity. There was like a lot coming in that was related to water. And she's like, I need to share that because I feel like it's significant. And then it is. And then she just realized like water's coming through a lot for her. And that's a sign, right? So I think like in movies and things, people think the sign's going to be like a lightning strike or something, but they could be very little. It could be like, I've had this happen too, and you may have as well. Like I'll be at a grocery store or something, and I swear that like a spirit guide or an angel is talking through a regular person to me because they say something that's a very clear message that I needed to hear, or is like in relation to a card I pulled or something I channeled already. And it's like confirmation, and I just leave and I just laugh because it's like, okay, like thank you for the random earth angel, So yeah, that's our like a point of what we do is reading the signs. Like, am I saying that everything's a sign? No. And if you're unsure if something was a sign, that's where you go and you either ask your cards, right? Like, I saw this sign. Is this what it means? Or was it for me? Or is it significant? And see what cards you find. Or you can ask for confirmation. Give me that sign again. Or show me. Some people will do this. Like, if I'm meant to do this job, then help me. Like, I will see a blue jay in the next 24 hours or whatever. They'll actually ask their guides for a specific sign as confirmation. So signs are everywhere. Reminds me of that song, signs everywhere sign. I won't sing because it's not that kind of show. And I want you to be able to like keep your headphones in. But anyway, look at the signs. So my journal questions for you are, ready? Number 1, what is your eclipse theme or story? Number 2, what, if any, signs are coming in right now? And number 3, what, if anything, is standing in your way of feeling balanced at this time? And that's connected with the Temperance card. So you might want to take that card out if you have a deck and put it on your altar or look at it while you journal. I think it will help. The visual always helps. Before I go, I wanted to share a couple things. In our coven, for the first time ever, I'm going to be doing a live event for everyone, whether you're in our coven or not. It's free, and it'll be on and about Samhain and Halloween. So I will share more details when I have them. I'm still in the creation process, but it will be happening. And if you want to make sure that you stay updated on that, go to jennycbell.com and join my newsletter, because that's where the invite will be. The other thing is that I will be on Granddaughter Crow's show pretty soon. I'm really excited, actually, for that, because let me look it up. She named it, she named the little series we're doing. Oh yeah, As the Veil Thins is the name of the series. And it'll be coming up pretty soon. Sorry, I should have had this all prepared. And the other thing is that Granddaughter Crow, who's an amazing person, she will be in our coven as a special guest pretty soon. So if you're not already in our coven and you're interested in shamanism or interested in getting to know her, we will have almost like a private live podcast. So it'll be really fun. But yeah, so her podcast I will be on is called Belief, Being, and Beyond. And we will be talking about the veil thinning and Halloween and Samhain. She's having this whole special series about it in October. So as it gets closer, I'll give you the specific date and I'll remind you. So that's going to be really fun. But yeah, those are some of the things we have coming up. And as always, take care and nourish. And I think most importantly, stay weird. As always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe and share with a friend. If you haven't already done so, be on the lookout for my book, Spirit Crystals. Discover your crystal guide for healing and empowerment. Available wherever you buy books.